What can students expect from an examination of human intellect? The capacity for sustained thought, for analysis, for evaluation, for developing theories and applying them are human qualities. In our daily lives, we all benefit from the technology, innovation, and social organization that sprang from the intellectual capacity of humankind. Nevertheless, a great debate has raged through the ages about our capacity for thought. Pessimists point out that many human achievements actually spring from or result in human struggle, conquest, and war. For example, while we might be encouraged because the industrial age gave us cars, telephones, televisions, and other useful technology, we might also be dismayed because the industrial age also gave us Gatling guns, tanks, and eventually atomic bombs. Even many of the would-be optimists have conceded that our moral and social progress has greatly lagged behind our technological progress.
Can the human mind solve humanity's problems? Or is the human mind greatly responsible for them? Thoughtful people take views across the spectrum. Some see unlimited progress possible, while others are inclined to fear for our very survival. Some of the greatest minds in all of recorded human history have wrestled with the idea of thought itself. About thinking itself in his book, The Blank Slate, Professor Steven Pinker suggests a bit of pessimism is in order because, quote, we are our brains and have no way of stepping outside of them, end quote. So we exist in a kind of intellectual trap, although, quoting again, it is a trap we can hardly bemoan, end quote. Pinker's pessimism has historical antecedents, as we'll see in this course.
One of the greatest theologians of all time, St. Augustine, questioned the capacity for human thought to fully understand either us or the world around us. He came to the conclusion that the human mind is corrupted by sin and self-interest, and that we have an almost limitless capacity for self-justification and self-deception. That fact hardly caused ultimate despair, however, because Augustine believed in divine intervention and revelation. What we couldn't possibly know by our own unaided intellect was revealed to us by a loving God.
About 800 years before Augustine's birth, Socrates and his disciples preached a more sanguine view of human intellectual capacity. Socrates was famous for the peripatetic method, which was more than just a strolling conversation. His method assumed that ideas were innate in the human mind, and the teacher merely facilitated their birth in the student's consciousness. But Socrates was given the death sentence for educational malpractice. This is more than mere hyperbole or a cute turn of phrase. The response Socrates evoked in his fellow Athenian citizens calls into question his whole philosophy. If the greatest thinker among the Greeks couldn't produce anything better in his own society than a total rejection of Socrates and his ideas, what hope do others have for achieving any better results? If truth and wisdom lie within all men, why couldn't Socrates himself have revealed it in them? Instead, he may have inadvertently revealed that most men despise the truth and hate its messenger.
Is human intellect merely human folly? Hardly. Granted, human pride can blind us to our limitations and errors. Nevertheless, all of our thought, even questioning our capacity for thought, is dependent on our mental powers. Moreover, even divine revelation comes to human minds capable of receiving the divine illumination. We cannot despair of the human intellectual project because our lives and the life of the species are inseparably bound together. And, as Professor Pinker says, we cannot step outside our brains to think, so what lessons should we learn as we examine human intellect? We need to use our brains to their full capacity and always remember that we are bound to bump into the all too human limitations.